Hello, Binanceans, and welcome to the Binance Square AMA. I think this is the biggest AMA we've ever held so far, so I'm very excited for today, and of course, I'm very excited for all of the speakers who are joining us today to present their projects and for the community to have an opportunity to ask the questions about the vote to list project. Give us a few minutes while I am adding all of the speakers in, and we will be starting shortly. All right. Hello, hello.
Hey, how's everyone?
Right. Hi. All right. Sorry, I'm just comparing and trying to check that everyone who should be joining is joining. Just as here. If you're just joining this AMA, we're waiting for about a minute for the rest of the speakers to join. Get ready for an exciting session. It's going to be quite packed. We have an amazing panel of speakers today, and I'm very happy that we're being joined by all of them today. All right. Now you are here. All right. Let me see if the speakers from the first half of today's session are here. Virtuals, big time. We're still waiting for uxlink. Simon from Morpho, Wrath, and Ether. I think we're only missing uxlink. Give me a second to think. Roland. All right. I think I see a message from Roland. Roland, I know that you must be hearing me. I do not see you among the speakers, to be honest. Are you requesting from your own account or from the official account of uxlink? All right. If it's your own account, please share it with me in our chat, and I will promote it to speaker. Because we already have quite a few people applying to speak for the upcoming Q&A, so I just want to be conscious and careful. But in any case, I think we can already get started while we are just waiting for one project to join, or rather just to apply to speak. I know that all of the speakers are already listening in, and I'm really grateful that you have joined us today. So let me formally greet everyone who's with us here today. Welcome to the Binance Square AMA, which today is held with the second batch of Vote to List projects. We're very excited to introduce 11 out of 12 projects that have been nominated for this iteration of Vote to List. And I'm very thrilled to have representatives from this project joining us during the AMA today. We have guests from Virtuals Protocol, Big Time, uxlink, Morpho, Grass, Ether, Walrus, Safe, Zetachain, Story, and Plum. And what a panel it is. I'm just again seeing a message from Roland. Roland, please send me your account name because I'm not able to check it otherwise. But otherwise, let me proceed with a bit of housekeeping and an exciting announcement that as part of this event, we're going to be giving away $2,000 in USDC in 4 red packets that each are going to be worth $500. So quite a few opportunities to grab some rewards. Make sure you stay in the AMA for a chance to win until the very end. There will be several opportunities, as I just explained, and I will be talking about each one of these opportunities as we go along. And let me just check. If Roland is here. To be honest, I'm still not seeing you, Roland, but let us get started, and I'm sure we will resolve this as we go along with the session. And so since this is quite a big MA, we're splitting this session into 2 parts today to keep it straightforward. If you have any questions for the projects and about Vote to List in general, leave them in the chat throughout the session. I will try to monitor it. Before we dive into that, let me quickly recap what is Vote to List and why we're all gathered here. So Vote to List is one of Binance's recent efforts to give a greater voice to the community. The crypto community is very vocal, and we love that. So with Vote to List, users can vote for their favorite projects that they wish to be listed on Spot. Most of these projects are selected from the Binance Alpha observation list. However, an important note, voting is not the final decision, and all projects must still pass Binance's full due diligence process before listing can occur. And with that said, I think it's time to move on to the main part of the AMA. But before I do that, let me just double check that all of us who should be joining are actually joining. Let me check on Roland yet again. And Roland, I can actually see you. You should be able to speak in a second. Hi there. All right. I think we're all accounted for. So let me explain how today is going to work. Uh, During this AMA, we have 11 projects participating, and Audio Live on Binance Square only supports 10 speakers. So we're dividing this AMA into two parts. In the first part, we'll speak with 6 projects in the order of the vote to list announcement. Each project representative will introduce their project. They will then will take 2 questions from the community by unmuting 2 community members. And each project representative can answer this question, so it's going to be open floor. And then we're going to move on to the other 5 projects, and we'll do the same. So we'll do a quick introduction with each one of them, and then we'll take 2 questions from the community for them. So stay tuned for the whole AMA. As the further along we go, the more rewards there are for you, both monetary and intellectually. There's going to be a lot to learn today. So now I'm ready to invite to the stage representatives of the first 6 projects to answer this question. Can you introduce the project and give us an overview of how it was founded, and also tell the audience why you believe they should vote for your project? And please, a quick note to our guests, please keep your answers short, up to 5 minutes max, so that we have time for the community Q&A and for, of course, all of the other guests to have their chance to speak. And the first guest of today is Hanan, joining us on behalf of Virtuals Protocol. Hanan, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much for having us today at Binance Square. Hi, I'm Hanan representing Virtuals. I'm very happy to be here. So on your 3 specific questions on why Virtuals wanting to be listed on Binance and what we do specifically, I think what we want to focus on is why we're here. So I think we're entering a new era in crypto where the frontier isn't just about finance. It's also about economic coordination between individuals and economic actors beyond us. And that's it. They are intelligent agents, the ones that Virtuals are building. So Virtuals Protocol is the foundation for that shift. So first and foremost, what is Virtuals Protocol and why do we build? So we are a protocol building the infrastructure layer for AI agents. We enable ownership, coordination, and commerce on-chain, not just applications, and enabling the agent-native economies. We do this through 3 key products. We have our Launchpad that people are familiar with, where any builders can tokenize and launch their AI agent and innovations. And as the space matures and more sophisticated agents and real utility are being built, the mechanism in which we design these launches have also changed in parallel with those innovations. So we now have our Genesis program, where we enable people like you and me, degens, normal people, to contribute by collecting Virgin Point pledges that are determined after a 24-hour point bidding period, enabling you to get early access to these projects that are launching on Virtuals. So incentivizing community coordination between builders as well as their biggest supporters. The second product that we have is the Agent Commerce Protocol, which is our core innovation. So Agent Commerce Protocol is the backbone for multi-agent coordination or agent-to-agent commerce. What this means, essentially, agents can pay, hire, and coordinate entirely autonomously. Something that humans used to do in the past can now be done by agents. Think of it like the operating system, like the OS on iPhone, but for on-chain AI coordination for the agentic economy. If I were to bring this to life a little bit, ACP enables clusters of agents to operate like autonomous businesses. For example, if we have a digital version of Elon Musk, like as an AI version, one agent being Elon Musk agent that has multiple businesses like Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink. Each of these businesses are powered by tokens, each earning, coordinating, and scaling autonomously and forming a cluster that can do businesses with each other. And then finally, the third product that we have is the framework, which if we think about agents as the body that enables the transactions, the framework that we have game is the mind that enables it. So these are to enable better builders to build on Virtual's protocol. So we use TypeScript as well as Python as languages that encourages not only crypto developers, but also AI developers to build interactive, innovative products in the AI agent space on Virtuals. Having said that, I want to bring us back to like who we are. Virtuals, first and foremost, who are the people behind the company? We are a group of builders that are composed of AI researchers from really credible institutions. We have degens and devoted founders who have built in this ecosystem for the past 3 to 4 years, and we have pivoted and tried and finally found our product market fit, and we're really devoting our time to key innovations in the AI space, whatever that entails. And this results in a lot of traction and ecosystem progress, mainly multiple agents with real revenue, tokens, and coordination. The virtual token in and of itself is shifting from a store of value to currency for agent commerce. We are giving trading fees to our builders. 70% of revenue goes to agents, agent creators, meaning builders that build this get 70% of the trading fees. And we have live experiments, really encouraging experimentation in the space of media, trading, infrastructure, and coordination. And to answer your final question, why this matters, right? So to be part of the Binance ecosystem, I think it matters to support projects and builders who aren't just trends, but also productive economic actors. We want to provide a space for innovative builders, a rail to operate in the next innovation of AI in a secure, scalable, and composable way. So I really hope that you would vote for us. And we are also expanding beyond just Base and Solana, and we're exploring different ecosystem. So yeah, happy to take any questions afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation. And it's really good to see all of the love happening in the chat. And to our audience, please share your thoughts, your questions, and it's a reminder that first of all, you have all of the projects watching, and secondly, we will be having a Q&A part. So with having said that, we're moving on to our next speaker, who is joining us on behalf of Big Time. Please welcome Matt Tongs, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Big Time.
Hi, everyone. Thanks. Nice to be here. Yeah, so just to give you a little bit of context of kind of why Big Time exists, we are big believers in Web3 gaming. And so starting about a few years ago, we kind of looked around, and there were a handful of Web3 gaming projects out there at that time, even including some that we had worked on, projects like Decentraland. But it became obvious that there wasn't really any games in the Web3 space yet that had put enough emphasis on the game itself. There was always a lot more emphasis on the economy, and the game was kind of like an afterthought or left behind a little bit. So we wanted to see what would happen if we brought a lot more time and development effort and talent into that space and built a game that stood on its own two legs. So the Big Time, the game is meant to be an experience that players want to play just because it's fun. And we wanted to see what would happen if we kind of were able to build that experience out in a way that the game is symbiotic with the economy. So obviously the economy is very important as well to us, but we wanted to make a project such that the people that were mostly interested in interacting with the economy had a little bit better experience because the game experience was better. And on the other side of things, the people that were mostly interested in interacting with the game had a better experience because the economy was there. So it should be a symbiotic value add. And what I mean by that is, imagine you're a game player and mostly you're just playing it because it's fun and it's free. That experience is actually added to. It's actually made a little bit more interesting, and value is brought to it because this economy exists where there's a little bit more skin in the game, and a little bit more to lose, a little bit more to gain. Everything is a little bit more exciting. And on the economy side, the normal actions that you're doing to interact with this economy are a little bit more fun because that game experience is there. And I'm proud to say that we've achieved that, and it's been a really wild ride, but we are very happy with the project and really excited to continue it. So that kind of takes me to the second part of this question, which is, why you should vote for Big Time versus all these other amazing projects. And I think if I take a step back and look at it from you, the voter's perspective, to me it comes down to kind of two broad things. Firstly, is Big Time's proven track record of success and our commitment to the project. Since the game has launched, it has evolved and changed and improved dramatically. We launched we did our initial space launch. We launched the token. We did our player driven crafting economy, and I think that one is really important because our game economy. Lots of games are out there that have economies, even non-Web3 games, but it's pretty rare that you see an economy that's truly driven by the players, but also owned by the players. That's a pretty rare thing in the gaming space, and I think we've been able to do that and in a way that adds value to the project, but more importantly, it adds a lot of value for our players, and that's an exciting thing to kind of be a part of. But the second part of this, and really probably what you're interested in, is what's the future for the project, and what's the future for the token, because that's what we're talking about here. So that part, I'm happy to say, is sort of a no-brainer for me, because there's so much cool stuff that we're adding to the game, or is about to be added to the game, or is going to be added later on. And all of these things, all of this player-driven crafting economy kind of runs on the Big Time token. So the token itself has a huge amount of inherent utility to it. It's not just a meme coin. Players need the token in order to participate in this economy, and all of the new features that I'm about to talk about here all are sort of driven by this token in one way or another. So we've got game-facing features like guilds that are coming online. We're going to be launching a whole new economic crafting season in the next month or so, and that, of course, both consumes a lot of the token in sinks and gives a lot of the token out to our player base, since again the token is kind of the fuel that makes all that work. And we'll be adding in-game pets to the game sometime in the next quarter, we believe, and that is going to be another really exciting one for both the economy and the game. And I think all of this is just to highlight the fact that Big Time is, again, a very committed project. We have a very dedicated team. It's the same team that launched it. I think we've already done 10 updates in this quarter, or rather in quarter one of this year. And we have a huge amount of stuff that's coming online that's, I think, is going to be really exciting to all of our players, and certainly exciting to me. But that, to me, is kind of the value proposition for Big Time as a token, and it seems very bright. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matt, for such a great introduction. And we're moving on to our next speaker, who is the CEO of uxlink. Joining us is Roland. Roland, please welcome to the stage.
Hi, everybody. I hope you guys can hear me. I have some mic issues.
All good.
Great. Okay, good. So I'm Roland. I'm the CEO of uxlink, and uxlink is the world's largest Web3 social platform and infrastructure, with a massive user base of over 47 million globally and more than 400 ecological partners. We are the absolute leader in Web3 social. So what do? uxlink team has a background of a strong experience all the way back to Web 2, where we developed applications serving over 100 million users globally with points and reward systems. So coming into Web 3, we realized one of the main pain points of Web 3 and crypto was user adoption, was user onboarding. So with our experience into driving growth, we actually decided that we will now focus on that same growth on Web3 space. So we just specialize in user growth and user mass adoption, and we stand as the gateway between Web 2 and Web 3, providing a seamless and intuitive experience for both users and developers. We also empower our community members to become influencers within their own respective zones, and we help Web3 projects achieve rapid user growth in a cost-effective manner. So that has made of that has made us now one of the few projects that have actually experienced a large transaction volume and substantial price increases since our ICO. And our project actually remains exceptionally attractive to investors thanks to its low FDD, offering an increasingly cost-effective way, like entry point to the new users and investors. So UXLink also is a solid project which not only generates income and profit, but also continuously innovate in this dynamic market. We are currently based in Tokyo and Singapore, but we are deeply rooted in the Japanese and Korean market, especially with a stronger momentum in Korea, giving us a solid presence across Asia. So what do we provide? We actually provide for both users and developers, as I said earlier. And for users, we actually focus on providing a seamless user experience where our platform abstracts all the complexity of blockchain technology, enabling users to engage with various DApps and Web3 platforms using their existing social accounts and validating transactions using the UX link token without the need to understand the underlying technical details. We've implemented a series of protocols under the label OAOG, One Account, One Gas, which ensures a smooth and intuitive experience across all blockchains. Again, for users too, we have some incentive mechanisms called the link to earn, where users can actually have the opportunity to earn through our innovative system, which incentivizes user participation and actually foster community growth. One major value that we also provide for ordinary users is our unified account. In terms of security, our account actually allow users to manage and recover their account if there was any loss, and they can recover it now using their UX link account or other social media account, all that is linked. And plus, you have some regular airdrops, not only for the UX link token, but also from some for some other tokens in the UX link ecosystem. Because the UX link has UX link has like a funding lab called the UFly Labs, which actually funds projects within the UX link ecosystem. And all these projects now, anyone who is part of our ecosystem as a user can benefit from airdrops, not only for the UX link token, but for some other amazing tokens within our ecosystems. Now, for builders, what do we provide? The main pain point for builders is actually interoperability. So we do provide an omni-chain infrastructure. So we have the UX link stack, which actually provides a next generation chain abstraction that supports both EVM and non-EVM chains, empowering developers to actually build applications that can scale to billions of users across various blockchains. Plus, we have the social growth layer. So the social growth layer is actually one of our key weapons, because social growth layers for the new projects, any project in Web3 that is struggling to actually gain traction in terms of user adoption, through our social growth layer and many tools in within, including AI and some other automations. Through this social growth layer, projects can actually see tremendous growth in terms of user base and user adoption with some plug and play features and mechanisms that we actually put at their disposal. And also we have a comprehensive development tools.
I'm so sorry for like stopping you. I just want to make a note. Can we like wrap this up because it's already over 5 minutes?
Okay, sorry, I'm actually done. So you have many tools, SDK and API for anyone who wants to build. So why must you join us? Why must you vote for UXLink? So UXLink, we actually try to build a global community which is strong enough, where you have a community-driven economy where anybody who is part of this community and ecosystem can actually be a self-made and self-organized leader
Thank you, Roland. I'm not sure if it's my connection, but thank you so much for introducing uxlink to us. And we're moving on to the next speaker. Please welcome Simon, who's head of marketing at Morpho.
Hey everyone. First off, thanks for Binance for hosting us. As mentioned, I'm Simon and I'm excited to be here representing Morpho. I'll start with sort of why Morpho was founded and then dive into a bit about the project. So actually the 4 co-founders founded Morpho while they were at university. They believe the traditional financial system was not open, efficient, or resilient, and Morpho was a solution to this. And so it's gone through a few evolutions. In 2022, Morpho began as an optimization layer on top of existing lending protocols, such as Aave and Compound at the time. However, we quickly realized DeFi needed something far more ambitious if we were to compete with traditional finance. Since then, Morpho has evolved into a completely independent lending protocol, so not to be confused with the first version, which is now deprecated. The latest version of Morpho, which some of you are probably familiar with, launched in January 2024 and grew rapidly to 5 billion in total deposits in just a year. Morpho is now the largest or second largest lending protocol in the world and is the first and only protocol to be directly integrated by Coinbase to offer its users access to on-chain loans. Where it differs from other lending protocols, so unlike others, Morpho is designed to be an infrastructure rather than a managed product. It's immutable, permissionless, and externalizes risk management. And the goal with Morpho is not to build a single consumer application, but actually provide lending infrastructure to businesses so that they can bring the benefits of DeFi to billions of people around the world. As a result of its design, there are several other lending protocols in the space that are actually building on top of Morpho, so including Compound, Sky, Spark, Moonwell, Seamless, and more, who have adopted the Morpho infrastructure and focused on UX and product on top of Morpho. But it's not only DeFi projects building on Morpho, but as mentioned, so are major exchanges. So for example, Coinbase directly integrated Morpho to allow millions of users to get a USDC loan against their Bitcoin directly within the main Coinbase app, which is the first of its kind sort of integration in the space. And we're really, really proud of that one. The product launched earlier this year, and there's already almost 100 million in Bitcoin used as collateral to take out USDC loans. Morpho is now in the middle of like a multi-chain expansion to bring its infrastructure to dozens of new chains, including WorldChain, Unichain, Inc., OPNet, Mainnet, Plume, who's actually also nominated here, and many more. Although Morpho's growth has mostly been within the crypto circles, we think that its ambitions go well beyond this. So the aim of Morpho is not to become just the back end of DeFi, but for the entire financial system. So for me, it's like if you want to vote for Morpho, I think if you're aligned with this vision, then I encourage you to vote for Morpho, and we'll continue to deliver it to the world.
Thank you so much, Simon. And before we move on to our next speaker, I just want to announce, well, the first surprise that we have for our listeners today. And that is the first red packet code of today. So I will read it out in just a second, where you will be able to claim up to $500 in USDC in rewards. The number of prizes is limited, so it's first come, first served. So listen closely. Once I read out the code, here's how you can claim the red packet. Log into your Binance app, tap the pay icon, go to red packet, go to receive, enter the red packet code, and tap claim now. Then tap open to claim the red packet. And attention please, this is just the first red packet of today. It's vote to list to. So the red packet is vote to list 2. I'm going to send it in the chat in just a second, but I'm just waiting for all of those who've been listening. Thank you to Ether for sending it in the chat. And here it is from me. All right. So on that beautiful note, we're moving on to Andre, who's the CEO and co-founder at Wind Labs, and he's joining us on behalf of Grass today. Hi, Andre.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everyone here for coming out. What an exciting event that you guys are throwing here. So anyways, I'm here to talk a little bit about Grass and hopefully answer some interesting questions. Grass is a network of millions of nodes distributed around the world that anyone can join. All you need is a residential internet connection. And by joining the network, all you're doing is actually renting out some of your unused internet bandwidth, and in exchange, earning ownership in the Grass network. Now, by getting millions of users around the world to contribute a little bit of unused internet bandwidth, you're actually enabling some of the largest AI labs in the world to collect massive multimodal data sets for AI training, as well as real-time data retrieval for giving LLMs real-time capability. The reason we started working on this is because, this is something that a lot of people don't actually know. The only way to scrape massive web-scale data sets is actually to rotate through millions of residential networks. So like changing through millions of residential devices. And traditionally, the way that businesses would do this was by actually sneaking software into your computer, into your smart TV, into any internet connected device, and then using it without your permission. And they got away with it because they usually snuck these things into terms and conditions and privacy policies and things like that. Now, the value of data that's being used for AI training is in the billions of dollars every year. And I think it's incredibly unfair, and I believe the Grass community and everyone else participating in Grass agrees with this, that it's incredibly unfair that companies are able to go out and leverage so much data without compensating the relevant stakeholders. And Grass's aim is to really redefine web incentives. Like, we're moving towards a new iteration of the internet right now, where instead of interacting with a few apps, we'll probably be interacting with a few AI models. These AI models are going to have a lot of power. They are going to accrue a lot of value. And most of that value is going to be coming from the context and the data that they're being fed. Now, Grass actually enables anyone in the world, and this is the only way to do this, to actually just go and contribute some of your network resources to actually help in this effort, help make AI models better, and actually get compensated for it. Now, the way people are being compensated in network ownership is actually through a points campaign. Grass was the first non-DeFi project to ever do a points campaign. And in airdrop 1, Grass airdropped over $300 million worth of Grass tokens to Grass users. There will be an airdrop 2. It will be happening this year. We're always excited to give users of Grass easier ways to interact with the protocol, which is why we're so excited by the opportunity to work with notable exchanges such as Binance. That being said, thank you so much to everyone for coming out. Thanks to the Grass community for showing up. And if you guys aren't part of Grass, it's really simple. Getgrass.io. Soon it'll just be grass.io. I'm going to announce here that we just acquired the domain. So anyways, peace out, and I'll be answering some questions.
Fantastic. Thank you a lot, Andre. And we're moving on to the last speaker, but not least, of the first part of today's AMA, and that is Mark Ryden, who's the co-founder and CSO at Ether.
GM, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Awesome. Yes, Mark here, co-founder and CSO at Aether. Thank you very much, Binance, for hosting us. Thank you to everyone who's voted for us so far. If you haven't voted for us, hopefully learning a little bit more about what you do will push you over the line. So what does Aether do? We are a distributed GPU infrastructure project. You can think of us like an AWS or a Google Cloud, except we focus exclusively on enterprise-grade GPUs, and we don't actually own any of those GPUs in our cloud. Some people say we're like an Airbnb of GPUs, but I actually prefer a booking.com analogy. Airbnb aggregates rooms in regular people's homes. The GPU equivalent of this would be a gaming PC, right? Because a gaming PC has a GPU that's sitting inside someone's home. Booking.com aggregates rooms in a hotel. The equivalent here would be a GPU in a data center. For example, you can't just put your spare bedroom on booking.com. You need to be a legitimate hotel to qualify. And the same goes with Aether's infrastructure. All of the infrastructure connected to Aether is enterprise grade. It's sitting in data centers capable of meeting the strictest performance and quality standards of the biggest tech companies in the world. This is one of the reasons why we've been able to generate over 105 million in annual recurring revenue, one of the highest revenues in the crypto space, all because we can serve our infrastructure to the biggest companies in Web3 and Web2. So how were we founded? Where did we start? Well, we started in 2020 deploying enterprise-grade GPU cloud for gaming companies. It was effectively distributed cloud gaming, and it's actually still a really big revenue generator for the company today. My co-founder, Dan, and I are big gamers, and the idea that people couldn't play games that we loved simply because they didn't have a really expensive gaming PC or they didn't have an expensive mobile phone was a problem that we really wanted to solve. So we built out a GPU cloud that allowed us to do remote game processing, essentially taking the game processing requirements away from the user and doing it in the cloud. It allows any game to be played on any device instantly. And with the cost efficiencies of scaling infrastructure in a decentralized way, we could finally solve how to get this technology into emerging markets, for example, like Southeast Asia. It also just so happened that a high performance enterprise grade GPU cloud was also super valuable for AI. So we scaled that up as well. And it's been an absolute kind of rocket ride ever since. So why should we be on Binance? Well, I think of it like this. AI is one of the most valuable technologies and industries on the planet, and GPUs are the engine powering all of it. Sam Altman and OpenAI recently released their 4.0 image generation model. I'm sure that you guys all saw the Studio Ghibli art that was kind of going crazy across Twitter. Well, alongside the popularity of that release, the biggest topic on Sam Altman's lips was that they didn't have enough GPUs. He was asking everyone to slow down on the image creation process and literally reaching out to the public on Twitter to see who had GPUs that they could borrow. Well, this problem is exactly what Aether solves. Instead of idle GPUs sitting in data centers, just wasting space, we can pull them into our cloud no matter where they are and make them available again, adding supply back into the market. This is a critical global need, and Aether has the largest, highest performance decentralized GPU cloud in the world. If we want to continue to have access to powerful AI tools, if we want to have access to decentralized AI in the future, we need a consistent and available supply of GPUs, and Aether makes that possible. I honestly believe that we're solving one of the world's most important challenges, and one that you need Web3 to solve. We'd love to solve this challenge while serving the biggest tech companies in the world and do it on the world's biggest exchange, which is Binance. Thank you very much, and please send a vote to Aether.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And that is the first half of our speakers for today. So now we're getting to the first Q&A of today. And we are going to be unmuting 2 audience members to ask their questions for the projects. This is how it's going to go. Please send your question in the chat first. And also apply to speak. I'm going to be cross-checking the questions in the chat and also your application. Please keep questions relevant to the projects. And to all of our esteemed speakers, you're all welcome to respond to the questions raised, even if they are only addressed to a certain project. I'm sure they would still be relevant for all of you. We want to give this as a chance to kind of present more about your project. So let me check who is currently asking their questions and applying to speak. All righty, quite a few applications. Just as a reminder, if you're asking a question, do not only send it in the chat, but also actually apply to speak. This is the only way we can get you in. And while you're all coming up with questions, I'm actually going to add uxlink, and that is Roland, who we already heard from today, who is asking, who's now joining from the official account. And let's get a question from Antonio 100.
Hi there.
Hi. Hey, please ask your question.
Yeah, so my question is for everyone. Everyone can answer. And what's one metric that you track that no one else in crypto talks about but should?
So one metric
Yeah.
in crypto that everyone should track.
Hey, I'm happy to take this. Oh, you go ahead.
Okay,
You go ahead.
please. I honestly,
ahead.
Graf, I see you jump in, and I know you're going to say the same thing as me. And I want you go first, please.
All right, sure. I'm gonna give a metric that is very specific to Grass before Mark gives one that's specific to Aether. So actually, Grass, just like Aether, is a protocol that sits at the interface of a lot of things that are non-crypto and is bringing a lot of real-world problems on chain in order to solve them. For Grass in particular, Grass is actually one of the largest, if not the largest, distributed web scraping network in the world. You can go to the Grass Foundation's website and actually track the network's stats on that page and see that the network is scraping currently over a petabyte of data per day. For those that aren't familiar with the term, that's over 1 million gigabytes per day. And one of the things that a lot of people kind of miss is actually the fact that 100% of the data scraped by the Grass network is demand driven. So to get a very good idea of how well the Grass network is doing on any given day, the best way to do that is to just go and check out the amount of data being scraped. And
I'm here. No, I love that. I love that metric. The amount of data you guys are scraping is insane, and it's all crucial for the growth of the AI sector. So it's if you think about AI, we've got models, and they need 2 other things: GPUs and data. And we love that that you guys are providing so much to that. I was going to give a bit of a cheeky answer. The question was, what metric do our projects track that no one else tracks? Well, I'm not going to say something that no one else tracks, but I will say that we should focus more on this as a community, and that is looking at the revenue that projects are able to generate. I think we need a focus in this sector on projects that have the fundamentals, that are real businesses, that are providing value and that are sustainable. And I think we should be looking at these metrics like revenue, something that Aether's focused on a lot from the beginning. And we should track it, and we should hold companies accountable, because meme coins and that sort of ecosystem have done a lot of damage to what we're building in this space. And I think revenue, I know it's boring, but it should be something that we track and we focus on a lot more in the space.
Thank you.
I can jump in here if you want. Oh,
Well, please go ahead. Let's do big time first, and then Hanan, you can go from virtuals.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so one thing that we track pretty religiously is related to big time, the token being sort of an economy in itself. And this is kind of inspired by, or made us think about it. Somebody in chat was asking about big time's long-term token economy. And this is token sinks. I think in order for big time's token to be successful in the long term, and one thing that we're really focused on is sinking as much of that token as possible, so that it's not just flowing out, it's also flowing in, and forms an actual economic cycle where the token is the kind of basis of the economy and has utility for many different things, and not just a one-way street. But yeah, token sinks are a big metric for us that may be somewhat unusual for some of these projects. But that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you.
For us, and I agree with one of the speakers who mentioned on revenue generated. So we do measure 3 key other things. Number 1, fees generated across trades, settlement, etc., between agents. We also measure the number of markets created, so like new opportunities and new environments and platform activities that have been co-created by these different agents. So that's number 2. And we also measure the intelligence of different agents, right? So I think anyone can build AI agents, but we want to make sure and ensure that we have smart agents that operate with utility. So those are the 3 things that we measure as well.
Thank you so much.
I will add one more thing. So for us at uxlink, we have a very key metric that we actually track. That is actually the social graph of any of our community members, because we want to enhance trust. So we make sure people who are joining our community are somehow connected, like by themselves first. And that social graph now can actually help us visualize all the connections from one user to the others, and it can better help us organize those users and make some recommendations. So that social graph tracking is actually very very important.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Simon. You're next.
Yeah, sure. I think that was a great question, by the way, and great answers so far. I think, as most people would probably say, the metric does depend a little bit on the type of business, and we're all from different sectors, industries, etc., even though we're all within crypto. But I think the key thing is to highlight metrics that can be used to analyze sustainability of whatever business or industry that we're building in. And so I think revenue is a great metric for us as infrastructure. It's also measuring the revenue of people building on top of us. So as infrastructure, if people can build sustainable businesses on top of us, it's a great metric for Morpho sustainability, and highlights that more and more projects and businesses will build on top of what we provide.
Thank you. Thank you for all of your answers. And let's get the next question in from Ronnie Z. Hey, Ronnie, can you ask your question? Let's give it a second more while Ronnie is trying. Hi, Ronnie. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I want to ask a question from Story Protocol. Is there any guy from Story Protocol?
No, so actually Story Protocol is going to be in the second part of today's AMA.
Okay.
But you can
let me ask from Morpho Labs. As DeFi continues to grow, user education becomes even more critical. How does Morpho Labs educate its users about safe DeFi practices And what resources do you provide for the newcomers?
Thank you, Ronnie. I just want to before you take the question, let's turn this into a general question addressed to all of the speakers. I guess the question is very great. It's user education. So what are your initiatives when it comes to education? Simon, it was addressed to Morpho, so please go first.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Ronnie, and it's a hard one to answer because there's all different types of users in DeFi. So there's the crypto natives who are very educated on how to use the different protocols. There's obviously newcomers who have less experience and need better guidelines around these protocols. And I think it depends at which area you're interacting with the DeFi protocol. So for Morpho, we do our part in terms of blog posts, educational content. We have how-to guides. Like on our app, we have how it works with diagrams and step-by-step. And so we try to do as much as we can to educate the users, but it's also as infrastructure. So for example, you can interact with Morpho directly on the app, but you could interact Morpho directly through, say, Coinbase or another project that has integrated Morpho in the back end. And so it's also on some of these projects to provide very simple interfaces for these new users. So I don't expect everyone or the billions of people in the world to interact directly with Morpho. I expect them to interact with Morpho through a very simple and intuitive UI that is created by the likes of Coinbase or Binance, etc. So I think it's a mixed one, and it's a very good question. But yeah, that would be my answer.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to add to the question of education?
Yeah, I can go next. At Virtuals, we do multiple levels of education because the nature of the space being very nascent and very early. So we have grassroots activation, obviously people from the ecosystem team going on the grounds and educating different builders as well as users. We also have a program called Virtuals Partners Network, where we recruit key domain experts across 4 different verticals, namely investors, academics like the ones from Stanford and Oxford University. We have domain experts like market makers from Wintermute or researchers from JP Morgan and the likes of really credible analysts. And we also have builders themselves who have built products using Virtual's ecosystem to pass the learnings and shared messages. So we do this really hands-on at the minute because of the nascency of the industry. But moving forwards, we also categorize doing a lot more catalogs and digital education across the board for not only users, but predominantly builders and investors in the space.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to add?
Yeah, I think I can go next. uxlink.
Sure. Go ahead, Roland.
Okay. So for us, I think education is actually like very, very key. Even though we do abstract all the complexity of blockchain from the users, but sometimes you have to extend some of the logic. So whenever people have questions, either users or developers, they have like 3 ways to actually reach out to us. We do have a unique way to get closer to our user is through Telegram groups. We have thousands of Telegram groups where any user, whenever they have a question or whatever, we just post there. If you have a new information, so we just post there in a group. You have group like group for like complaints, group for new releases, and also you have our Twitter page and some other blogs. So blog can be like technical blogs. It can be some new features. So we have some constant updates and education with the new user. And sometimes once in a while, we actually go on site. We have some on-site events, like in South Korea and some other countries, where we actually meet users, interact with them, and listen to their problems, and then provide solutions to those problems. That's the different way that we actually use uxlink.
Thank you, Roland. I think Andre, you were also unmuting yourself.
Yeah, I was. I think it was a great question actually about user education. That's something that's been extremely important to Grass from day one. Grass, like many of the other protocols on this stage right now, has been building something that's never existed before. Anytime you build something new, you're met with a lot of uncertainty and a lot of confusion. To a lot of people in the world, the concept of getting to earn ownership in something is a foreign concept. And blockchain as a technology, introduces this for the first time ever in history. So millions of people around the world, billions, I should say, who've never had a chance to get a seat at the table are suddenly able to. And letting them know it's as easy as just downloading something or interacting with a protocol or setting up some infrastructure. Anyone can do it. Like that's a surprisingly difficult barrier to get through for a lot of folks. So as part of that, at Grass, actually, we've been making a few strides internally, and we'll be announcing this soon to the broader public. But the Grass dashboard is going to get a huge overhaul soon. It's going to include account abstraction and a built-in wallet feature that'll allow people to go and interact with the on-chain components of the protocol in a much easier way. So keep an eye out for that. And anyway, thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Andre. I think we only got Matt and Mark who haven't added anything. Do you have anything to say on the question of education and I guess like interaction with the community as well? We can broaden this up.
Sure. I mean, we're very lucky. We have a very strong community. We're actively engaged with that community across what is a very active Discord channel, for example. So we have regular AMAs in there, opportunities for the community to ask us how things are going, ask us how things work. We're an infrastructure project, predominantly B2B. Right. So there's a little bit of mystery there, I think, with retail that we spend a lot of time trying to bridge the gap on. But to be honest, I think our focus with education is about being an open book and being accessible and creating these opportunities for the community to interact with our company directly through all the different channels that we have, whether it's social media or the platform itself. But we take a lot of pride in how connected we are with all of the Aetherians out there and the dialogue that we allow the community to have with us.
Yeah, I can chime in too, I guess. The benefit of being a game company is that we have sort of the world's, well, I don't know if it's the world's best, but we have a huge incentive to teach our players to play games. And this is true for any game in the video game space. So we have a lot of expertise in kind of first-time user experience, bringing players into any kind of user experience, whether that's a game or anything else. And we've focused a lot on that for big time so that players can enter the game and the game sort of naturally ramps them into learning the things that they need to learn in order to participate in the economy and to use the platform and to use the token in kind of the gentlest way possible because they want to do it. They're playing the game and they like the game and they want to do something in the game that requires the token. So naturally they're curious and interested in figuring out the next steps and the next steps and the next steps. And that is a real big advantage for a video game, I think, is that there's this sort of natural compulsion to learn all the stuff that they want to learn. And largely that's what a video game is. And then the other side of this is that video game communities are sort of known to be very engaged, and Big Time is no exception. We have a huge community. They're very interested they play the game every day. They talk to each other, all day, every day, pretty much. And so there's a lot of community interest and a lot of interaction between the community and the Big Time team because we are very interested in hearing from them and figuring out what the project should do next to make the game more fun or to add value to the economy in some way that they're interested in. So I think largely the process of on-ramping players being as smooth as possible is kind of in our ethos. We built Open Loop, the platform, to kind of be the bridge between the crypto side of things and the game side of things, so players can actually interact with the blockchain without knowing anything about the blockchain. It's just sort of like a game interaction that they're used to from any other video game, but it happens to be on the blockchain. And then when they're interested enough and they say like, oh, I have this asset in the game and I want to go withdraw it, how do I do that? Now they're curious and they're interested and they're kind of teaching themselves from a point of interest rather than because they have to. And that's when the open loop platform allows them to do all that stuff with as smooth a process as possible. So we have kind of an advantage there, I guess, but that's our situation.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you for all of your answers. Unfortunately, we do not have more time to take more questions today due to timing constraints, and we still have 5 more projects to talk to. But make sure to follow all of the projects who have already joined us now, and stay updated on all of their news and updates on Binance Square. And I know some of the projects might also be planning AMAs of their own, where they will be introducing their projects in greater detail. So having said that, it's time to wrap up the first part of today's AMA, but still stay here. This is more of a wrap up for the first part of our speakers. Many thanks to Hanan, Matt, Roland, Simon, Andre, and Mark for joining us and for introducing the projects. And what we're going to be doing next is I'm going to be promoting our next speakers to join the AMA, and we will be moving in more or less the same manner. And next we have 5 more exciting projects. It's Walrus, Safe, Zetachain, Story, and Plume. So please make sure that you are joining us. All right, I see Safe, Story, Zetachain. I think we're still pending Walrus, but and Plume is here. All right, so we hit the limit of speakers, so I sadly have to say bye for now to all of the wonderful projects that we just talked to, and remove them from speakers.
Thank you so much. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Give me a second. All right. Oh, and we got Walrus. So we're ready to go for part 2. Welcome, everyone, yet again. Welcome. Please welcome our second batch of speakers. Before I introduce everyone who's joining us in this part of the AMA, I have the second surprise of the day for all of our wonderful listeners, and that is the second red packet code. As always, I will read it out and you will be able to claim it. The size of this red packet is 500 USDC. The number of prizes is limited, so listen closely and make sure you hurry and claim it. You can claim it on Binance app by navigating there, tapping the pay icon, going to red packet, going to receive, entering the red packet code, tapping claim now, and then tapping open to claim the red packet. And attention please, this is the second red packet code. GM Binance 123. It's pretty simple. The second red packet code is GM Binance 123. Go ahead and claim the red packet. Again, it's first come, first served basis, so be quick. And on that note, we're moving on to our 5 speakers of the second half of today's AMA. And I'm inviting to the stage representative of the 5 projects to answer the same question that we just covered. And the question is, can you please introduce the project and give us an overview of how it was founded? And also please share with the audience why you believe they should vote for your project. And just a customary reminder to all of the projects and the guests joining us that please keep your answers short, up to 5 minutes. And the first guest of this part of the AMA of this hour is George Danezis, who is joining us on behalf of Walrus, where he's a major contributor and he's also a co-founder of Miston Labs. Hi, George.
Hi.
The stage is yours.
Thank you so much for having me in the Binance Square. Yes, indeed. I'm George Danezis. I'm the chief scientist at Miston Labs, and I am here to speak on behalf of the Walrus Foundation about the exciting new decentralized secure storage network that just launched actually in mainnet last week. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit about Walrus as a technology and as a project. We wanted to have a modern take on decentralized storage. So for that reason, we actually designed Walrus. There are already quite a few options actually for decentralized storage, and they were visionary, some of the projects in defining the category. But if you look closely at them, they are really encumbered by the fact that they came very early. A lot of the technologies they use are from the middle of the 2010s. And by now, the state of the art in how we actually build blockchains and how we build decentralized protocols has significantly changed. So this is what we're trying to do with Walrus, to actually update, if you want, the vision of decentralized storage to the infrastructures, the Web3 infrastructures of today. So what we did in order to build Walrus from a technical perspective is we actually chose to use, instead of replication of files across hundreds of nodes as others do, to use erasure coding. And that means that in order to actually store a file, you can actually do that in a very cheap way in the network. You only need to store 5 times more the size of the file in order to make sure that you can retrieve it with very, very high certainty, even if most of the infrastructure disappears or goes down. We also modernized the vision around decentralized storage by actually bringing in a kind of proof of stake, a delegated proof of stake system to it, right? So the committee of the storage nodes, as in other proof of stake systems, is determined by delegating stake and then can change over time. And the encoding scheme had to be adapted, and this is completely novel in order to allow this kind of efficient evolution of the kind of storage node committee over time. At the same time, Walrus offers the state-of-the-art kind of security features that you expect from decentralized storage. It has very high availability. You can upload, download, even if a significant part of the peers doing the storage disappear. Each blob and file has very high integrity. You can tell what every bit of it is, and you can tell if it is correct or incorrect. And it has also strong authenticity. You can, have a very strong idea of is this blob uploaded by a particular authority or not? So this is kind of state-of-the-art, modern, secure, decentralized storage. Another really notable feature of Walrus is that we designed it to be programmable from the word go, right? So what Walrus does is it uses the Sui blockchain as a control layer, effectively, to manage both its tokenomics as well as its control plane for the status of blocks, as well as its control plane for the committee composition, who is a storage node, how much work they have done, how many rewards they should get, etc. But because the full control plane of Walrus is on Sui as just smart contracts, that means that all the other smart contracts on Sui can actually interact with Walrus, and you can build new smart contracts that really control and program different aspects of the economics and the life cycle of blobs on Walrus on Sui today. And you can also use the Sui Light Client features and authentication features to actually port some of these functionalities to other blockchain ecosystems. First of all, you can use Walrus to store and retrieve data for other ecosystems. besides SWI, so it's quite a generic infrastructure, but you can also have proofs of availability or proofs of deletion or whatnot being consumed by other ecosystems. Now, how did we start this project, right? At the end of the day, what we noticed was that most of a distributed application, a decentralized application, really isn't the smart contract. Most of it is everything around it. So the front ends, the data that it generates, the audit logs, etc. And these are bigger data than what blockchains can store. And there wasn't really a very good option at the time for storing them, and storing them really with kind of application grade quality of service, where you can update things easily and cheaply, and you can change them, and you can allow users to upload blobs in the most flexible way and delete them also when the smart contract allows you to. So this was the impetus to actually build Walrus, to really kind of expand the reach of what decentralized applications can do outside the realm of just smart contracts and into the realm of like full kind of like experiences that can mirror, if you want, the experiences we have on Web 2, and can also substitute them. And ultimately, this is the reason why I would put forward for the community here to support the Walrus project. Our vision is that we would like the free and open Web3, if you want to actually compete and replace a lot of the services that we really depend as a civilization, be it social networking, be it news, be it all sorts of things that have been captured, if you want, into Web 2. In order to do that, you actually do need to store big data. You need to store the actual assets when they're digital in decentralized stores. You actually need to store the history of chains or the audit logs on decentralized stores. You actually need to store tomorrow the machine learning training data as well as inferences in a decentralized way. And ultimately, this is what we build Walrus for. Mainnet, as I said, is live. Folks can head to docs.wal.app and start uploading blobs and downloading blobs and start using it. You can upload your own Walrus site to try it out, and I welcome everyone to give it a try.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction, George. And next we have Lucas Shore, who's the co-founder of Safe.
Thank you, Karen. And great to be here. So we at Safe have a big vision. We want to move the entire world's GDP on chain. So all the world's economic activity should eventually come on chain, and we want to achieve that by making self-custody secure and easy. Because self-custody, as you probably know, is like the backbone of everything, from DeFi to NFTs to meme coins. All rely on self-custody being an option for users, and without it, crypto just doesn't make sense. So to do that, Safe is building an account abstraction infrastructure to make self-custody easy and secure, that enables things like multi-sig, passkeys, sponsor transactions, and like all that nice stuff. It's already the largest account abstraction protocol in the industry, with over $50 billion worth of assets being secured by it, and users like Vitalik or builders like WorldCoin, who's distributing Safe to millions of users. Our goal is really to make every user in Web3 a Safe user. What makes Safe unique? We're very much long-term builders. The project and the team has existed for over 7 years and has been going through multiple market cycles. We've seen everything, and we're very much set up to be around for a long time. What also helps there is that Safe is revenue generating, so we have a long runway, and we can withstand even a long bear market with that. The foundation is based in Switzerland, but there's a lot of German engineering in Safe, with a big team, engineering team based out of Berlin. But the vote is not just about Safe, but also about the Safe token. So I'll talk a bit about that as well. The Safe token has launched about a year ago. Is already listed on major exchanges like Coinbase, Upbit, and many more. What's maybe special about it is that 60% of the supply roughly is already in circulation, meaning that there's no lower sell pressure than with a lot of low float coins. 40% of the token supply is held with the Safe DAO. That allows the community to really decide how these tokens are being distributed. And as Safe is generating revenue, this revenue can also be used for buybacks of the Safe token and bringing it back to the treasury so the community can decide what to do with it. So major milestones that the project has achieved. Safe has been expanding to 20 and more networks. Actually, the BNB chain was the second network that was launched after Ethereum mainnet. So we're very proud members of the Binance ecosystem. Over $1 trillion worth of transaction volumes were facilitated with the Safe protocol. If you compare this to the world's GDP, which is our vision, that's about 0.2% of the world's GDP, roughly on a yearly basis that goes through the protocol already. About 5% of all USDC is held in Safe accounts, more than 30 million accounts deployed so far across 200 and more ecosystem projects. So yeah, if you're a Binance user that's looking for a project with a lot of adoption, revenue, and big ambitions, join the Safe community and vote for Safe. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lucas, for presenting Safe to the community. And up next, we have Jonathan Covey, who's a core contributor from zetachain. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello. Thank you, Karen. And thanks to all of the Binance users tuning in. I'm Jonathan. I started the Zeta community back in 2021. And zetachain's a Silicon Valley-based layer 1 project. And it was created to solve the growing fragmentation problem in crypto. So you have all of these new blockchain ecosystems and wrapped token standards popping up, and a lot of innovation from all of those things. But it's made the crypto user experience pretty confusing and risky. So the founding vision of zetachain is to make crypto as accessible, diverse, and connected as the internet. And zetachain solves this with a layer 1 blockchain with built-in connections to all chains. So EVM chains like BNB, of course, but also Solana, Sui, Ton, even non-smart chains like Bitcoin. And this is really important because if you're a developer with zetachain, you just deploy your app once and you can get access to native assets and users on other ecosystems. And as a user, you don't have to leave your Binance Web3 wallet on BNB, or if you're using Phantom on Solana, or even a Bitcoin wallet, you can access all of crypto without dealing with these wrapped tokens and manual bridging steps. So this is the platform we've been live with for over a year, and we're seeing 400,000 monthly active users, 5 million total wallets connected, hundreds of ecosystem apps and partners like Google Cloud and Deutsche Telekom that secure and trust zetachain. 37% of Zeta is in circulation 1 year after launch, listed on Coinbase and Upbit and other markets. So we're finding a lot of traction around the universal blockchain value prop. And for Binance users, of course, we greatly appreciate your vote to support the mission, but also voting for Zeta will help bring native connectivity from other chain ecosystems right to the BNB ecosystem, including native access to Bitcoin. So users from any chain, Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, can interact with BNB assets and dApps and the other way around. Lots of startups are building use cases around this, like BitSmiley, the first native Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. You mint BitUSD, and then you can lend it in the BNB chain ecosystem. Beam is a DEX, cross-chain swaps of BNB for native Bitcoin. Amana is a yield aggregator, so you can move ETH from Ethereum into a lending protocol on BNB. and then a lot of cool stuff around NFTs and native Bitcoin to purchase NFTs on Binance, for example. So beyond the tech benefits, we're also doing a lot to help grow marketing awareness of chains that we support, like BNB. We did a kickoff party in San Francisco with the BNB chain team, and can help drive awareness in the Silicon Valley and the US. So yeah, check out our Binance Square introduction article pinned to our profile, and there's a bunch in there about the core contributors and roadmap and ecosystem. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot, Jonathan. Thank you for the introduction. And we have two more speakers today. I'm sure you are very excited to hear from them as well. But before we do that, I just want to surprise you with the third red packet of today. And as previously, I'm just going to quickly run you through the instructions because I saw some questions in the chat. So in the red packet, all you need to do is to kind of note it down and go to Binance app, go to then tap pay icon, go to red packet, go to receive, enter the red packet code that I will read out in a second, tap claim now, tap open to claim the red packet. And this red packet is also valued at 500 USDC in total. And as previously, the number of prizes is limited, so make sure you note it down correctly, and you will get the prize. So the red packet is hold BNB 4. The red packet is hold BNB 4. Let me send this in the chat as well. Here we go. And on that note, we're moving on to the next speaker, who is joining us from Story Foundation, and he's actually the president of Story Foundation. Please welcome Andrea.
Hey, thanks, Karen. Hey, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. First off, just want to say Binance Square is so much better than Twitter Spaces. So much less buggy and very polished and smooth. So very happy that I'm trying it out. Second thing I want to say is, I know everyone's kind of like trying to vote for their project and get their project voted, but I do want to say that it's actually an honor to be here with really some of the best projects, and a lot of the projects that I admire a lot, both old and new, including some of the ones that recently spoke. So yeah, just an honor, and fascinating how much innovation is being done in this space today. I'll start, and to be respectful of time, let me set a timer so that I can also keep track of how long I'm speaking. Started it now. Hopefully the thank yous don't count.
It's
Karen?
okay.
All right. So,
Thank you.
all right. So, how did we get here? How did Story get here? Actually, not many people know this. So I have a little story about Story, and it's that we never actually set out to build an L1. We started with a problem that we needed to solve, and we were just searching for the right solution along the way. And it's been, almost 3 years in the making to get to the point of building an L1. Because Story actually started as a single programmable IP franchise, right? We wanted to build a single franchise, but then we quickly realized that IP on chain was kind of like a misnomer, because any licensing or any real IP remixing, and by IP I mean intellectual property, required lawyers and contracts, custom contracts at every side of the deal, which was basically like calling your bank and KYCing every time you needed to do a bank transfer, right? Which was just impossible. And so we're like, okay, we need to build a smart contract protocol to support IP and make it programmable. And this worked great. We were originally going to deploy it on Ethereum, and it was working. However, as we started to talk with different projects on multiple chains, we kind of experienced a massive issue, which was composability. So if something was registered on Ethereum and then, on an L2, someone wanted to leverage, another EVM chain wanted to leverage that IP, there would need to be just, a lot of unnecessary work to try and fix it, to make IP composable. And that was like our whole thesis, is to create atomic composability for IP. And so we're like, okay, let's build a layer 2. And again, not many people know this, but actually Story temporarily was building in a layer 2, because if you think about it, IP it needs to have a single shared state. And so we built the L2, but we quickly realized that, like social networks and like open source code, it has a graph structure, and a single node can have tens, if not hundreds, of parents. Think of like a music track where every stem, every instrumental, every sound could be contributed by different people, and that creates a massive complex graph. And if you need to do licensing checks, revenue checks across all of these, it becomes really, really complicated. And so we needed to, we were kind of limited on the L2 to like 2 or 3 parents in the IP graph. And so we're like, okay, we need to start from scratch. And we need to, 1 week before our public L2 launch, we kind of decided to build the L1. And so with the L1, we kind of have full control of the stack. We made a lot of tailor-made optimizations for graph traversal, for IP-related computation. We can traverse thousands of parent IPs, do licensing checks, royalty transfers, all in a single transaction at very, very low gas, thanks to all the optimizations that we've made. And the good thing is we have full control of the stack, so we can continue to change it under the hood without necessarily changing the protocol that everyone uses. So why should you vote for us? Aside from the fact that we're starting from an actual need and working to solve it, which is kind of a rare thing in Web3. If you think about it, copyright law is so antiquated. It's dating back to the printing press, like hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It requires lawyers, bureaucracy, and it's impossible to do anything with IP without massive, massive legal friction. And so with Story, you can register your IP in like a couple clicks or in an API call. You can license something in a click. You can register your remix of something in a click, and basically make it as easy. Basically, what Bitcoin did for money, we want to do for intellectual property. And the size of this market is massive. IP is worth trillions. Intangible assets make up like $70 trillion in value. And it's not really been tokenized yet. It's all opaque and inaccessible. For example, one of our ecosystem projects, Aria Protocol, is tokenizing music IP from some of the top artists in the world, like Justin Bieber, Blackpink, BTS, Dua Lipa, Sabrina Carpenter, and so many other top tier artists. And like that, we have things for Hollywood, trademarks, and all of this tokenization we call, like, this is the financial side of IP, which is what we call IPFi, right? And think of all of the opportunities that you can unlock if you apply Web3 primitives to this whole asset class of IP. And I also think Story is at the right place at the right time. AI is in desperate need of programmable IP. Think of Studio Ghibli craze that happened a couple of days ago. AI companies are using IP without any compensation, and this is not sustainable. So what if we could solve this? What if every model had attribution of all of the training data it was trained with, and every time something was generated, it could attribute it back? And I know I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to close it out with the ecosystem is vibrant. Ecosystem projects on Story have raised over 30 million investment funding, even though we're only 6 weeks from mainnet. So the world is waking up to the importance of IP. And very recently, we were very surprised to see that we made the Grayscale, which is one of the leading asset managers in the world, in their top 20 list. And this list was specifically built on tokens that reflect real-world, non-speculative applications of blockchain technology. So to summarize, we're at the right place at the right time, and we're really trying to make a multi-trillion-dollar asset class liquid and easily transactable, like Bitcoin did for money. We want to do for intellectual property. Thank you.
Many thanks, Andrea. Thank you for the answer. And we are moving to the last speaker of today. Last but not least is the co-founder and CEO of Plume. Please welcome Chris Yeen.
All right. Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Hi. Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me. And look, I'll keep it short just because I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing us yap all day about our projects. But look, maybe to cut to it. Plume. What do we do? Yeah, we focus on RWAs, right? We focus, and Plume is an ecosystem, a network, and a chain ultimately focused and designed on making it easy to access the reward on chain, right? We have over 200 protocols building on us today, representing over $10 billion in assets. We've got the largest community in RWAs, millions of followers on Twitter, and millions of users on testnet, 100 millions of transactions, and of course, we've got backing from some of the largest financial institutions in the world, folks like Apollo Global, the largest private equity firm in the world, Brevin Howard, Fidelity, and also a lot of the greatest crypto native firms as well, right? Han Ventures, Galaxy Digital, Superscript, Hashkey, and a bunch of those. So that's kind of the short story on Plume, right? Now, maybe zooming out for a second. Why does anyone care about RWAs, right? The answer is very simple. RWAs are the single largest category and market in all of crypto, in the entire world, right? RWAs today represent over $1,000 trillion in assets, right? Crypto today is only 3 trillion, right? And so every subsector of RWAs, whether it's derivatives, real estate, alternative assets, equities, derivatives, all these types of things are ultimately hundreds of trillions of dollars. And so each subsector of RWAs is multiple orders of magnitude larger than all of crypto today. A single firm, BlackRock, is a $12 trillion asset manager. So a single firm is over 4 times the size of all of crypto today. Right. And you can see how this excitement and sentiment is reflected across crypto today, right? The best performing tokens of the year so far are RWAs. The best performing tokens of the last cycle are RWA tokens, right? And so you can see that it's beginning to happen and the excitement is coming and there's a lot of excitement. You can see what's happening around the world when it comes to both adoption and institutionalized management, all that kind of stuff. Now, the problem today, though, is very simple. Who here actually uses RWAs? Right? Who actually has gone through the KYC process and had to hold something and do that, QP and hold some, $1 million in assets and only be able to transfer things once in a while and actually use these products? The problem is very few, right? Despite all the hype and the promise, if you look at the stats today for RWAs, right? Go to RWA.xyz and you realize that usage across these assets is very small. Right? There's no volume, there's no TVL is used. All the same people, 50 users for these products, right? And that's the problem, right? Because at the end of the day, RWs today, despite the promise and the hype and the timing, right, and the excitement, it's all focused on mostly TradFi people coming to crypto to do TradFi things on chain, right? And it's not fundamentally an issue to do that. The problem with that orientation is that if you're building for a crypto market, you have to first focus on those words. What is the crypto market? And it's not TradFi people, right? It's an ideological mistake that these folks lead into, right? So they build these trad products that replicate the real world today, and they bring a shitty thing that we had off chain and bring it on chain. Still shit, right? So the difference that we take is very simple. We are one of the only folks we pioneered in this category around RWFi and bringing the real world to crypto versus other folks bringing the blockchain and crypto to the real world. We bring the real world to crypto. We turn the real world into tokens, in other words. Right. And what we do, the token is, in our belief, a superior format. We think life on chain is better, right? And we think an open permissionless ecosystem is better. And ultimately, the token is a superior format, right? It's permissionless, it's open, composable. You can do anything you want with it. You can hold it, swap, stake, lend, borrow, etc. Right? We know that people like tokens today, so we want to make the real world and turn them into tokens, right? And make things open, permissionless, and usable, right? Now, it's not even just like an idea, if we actually zoom out for a second again, the number one product today, and both from a usage perspective in crypto, but also growth, and the best product and avenue for growth in crypto is an RWA. It's a stablecoin, right? And the stablecoin today, right, you can already see, and is dominant in all dimensions, right? $200 billion in assets, right? And also, if you look at RWAs today, it's just 10 billion, right? And so the stablecoin is the dominant example. Now, the reason why people forget that the stablecoin, right, is in RWAs because the stablecoin is just crypto, right? You can easily use it as you do anything in crypto. You swap into things, you stake it, right? You can, it's composable across DeFi and all that. And so with Plume, we build the exact same environment, but focus on the real world, right? You can do anything and swap in anything in a crypto native context, crypto native experience on Plume as you do anything else, right? You can hold things from the world's largest financial instruments, right? Backed by BlackRock, Fidelity, or Apollo, or Invesco, or all these different assets that are yield bearing, straightforward, safe, stable assets, all the way to the complete other side, right? You can buy uranium, you can swap into Pokemon cards, you can hold camel tokens, right? You can do durian farms. You have all these kinds of things out there as well, right? So you can swap in and out of things and move into anything just as easy as you can put it into a lending pool, you can borrow against it, you can collateralize, you can put it into a perp stacks and gamble on it while you're still holding that asset, right? And all we're doing here, right, is really making these access to the real world again, right? And a lot of these things, for what it's worth, are yield-bearing assets, right? And the benefit of this is you get real yield, you know, things that are coming in from the off-chain world into the on-chain, off-chain into on-chain. And so we're one of the only networks out there that are systematically built from the ground up to consistently bring in and grow crypto every single day by bringing new dollars in, right? And so not only that, when you get the real world, which the benefit is it's real yield, it's stable, it's safe, and it has size, right? Now you have composability. When you put it into DeFi, you can now loop and lend it and lever up like it says. You go from 5-10% yields that nobody cares about to 20, 25, 30, and you loop it a few times, right? With partners of ours like Morpho and others like that, right? Now you can also do things and earn real stable yields while getting token exposure, right? So you can earn Plume points, you can earn, other points and other tokens while you're getting real yield. So it's the best place to both not only get real yield, but also get token exposure at the exact time at good yields, right? And so that's the whole point and what we're doing at Plume, right? We want to make the real world into tokens. And when you do that, it begins to blur the line between tokens and the real world, right? So there's no more crypto native assets where they're all just tokens. You can mix and match these things. And all we're doing right now is we're not RWA maxing at Plume. What we're trying to do is follow user behavior. When the world is up, you should hold tokens. When the world is down, you should hold RWAs, which people already do. Today, it's just a stable coin. So we're expanding the surface area in which people can interact with these things and then making those things composable and usable across all of DeFi. Right? And so that's the orientation for us today. We're about growing crypto, right? And it's reflected today. This is the largest category in the world. And you can see that's reflected in today's prices and today's what's happening. It's a unique moment in time where the entire world is aligned to actually tokenizing things and bring things on chain. So this is the opportunity for us and what we're building at Plume and why we're excited to bring this into Plume, because it's not about replicating the real world on chain. It's about building a new world where the on-chain world and crypto native tokens and real world assets all live together and blur into one thing. So that's what we're doing at Plume. And thanks for getting a chance to share with everybody there.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Chris. And we have just one last part of this AMA, but it's no less exciting. We're now going to move to the community Q&A. So like in the first part, we will be unmuting 2 community members to ask their questions for the project. Please send your questions in the chat and also apply to speak so that I can cross-reference the speakers list or the applicants and the questions asked in the chat. And all of our wonderful speakers are welcome to respond to the questions raised. Now, let me check the questions and also who is applying to speak to ask them. Let's see. All right. Lincoln, please, I saw your question in the chat so many times. Please go ahead and ask.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please ask the question.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. My question is, what are the primary blockchain platform and technologies the team is currently working with, and what are the plans for future adoption?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So I'm just going to kind of reframe the question a little bit, and let's use this as an opportunity to talk about some of the innovation and kind of technology that you can highlight that you're currently working on and or are going to be introducing in the near future. So let's talk about upcoming innovative plans and technologies. Anyone wants to
Sure.
take this?
I think, part of the question was also like, adoption or user adoption pillars. Story is a programmable set of smart contracts, so it's done through code, but that doesn't mean that only developers can access it. Of course, developers can build applications that then non-developers can use to register their IP. Story, we recently launched the portal. So if you go to portal.story.foundation, anyone can upload and register their intellectual property and set licensing terms for it. You can set non-commercial terms, you can set commercial terms, and anyone else can come to the portal and license it and use it, and also register remixes of that IP. And the cool thing is any IP that's registered across any application using Story is obviously going to show up, given that it's a shared state across the portal and across every other ecosystem app. So, so yeah, I think that's one of the key ways that we're already seeing thousands of artists starting to register their intellectual property, and we also, as part of this, as you can imagine, with a decentralized network, one of the challenges is, how do you validate IP, right? We're not going to be there as a centralized service verifying every IP. And so we actually invented the Story Attestation Service, which is a decentralized network of service providers that detect infringement, can attest to identity, and they independently attest to IP. So if you register an IP on Story, for example, via the portal, and it has commercial terms, it will automatically run through the Story Attestation Service and go through infringement checks. And these independent service providers will basically say, hey, this asset seems to be infringing or not, right? And then we also have a dispute module. So it's a pretty fascinating area of research, because we have to apply what has traditionally been done via very slow and centralized processes in a decentralized Web3 way. But it's very exciting, and I encourage everyone to go to the portal and start registering your IP.
Yeah, maybe to add to that, I mean, I think things that we're doing at Plume um, to bring the reward on chain in a way that is easy, permissionless, and usable and composable by everybody is a combination of a lot of things that's very difficult. Broadly speaking, right, you have to do a ton of things around both legal, right, and compliance and all these things, and abstracting that away from everybody so you don't have to think about it, right? And also doing things like, fetching data, right? Pricing these assets and oracles and making them real time and usage and liquid is also a tricky thing, right? And so it's a balancing act between, compliance, but also things like, oracles and all kinds of things. The data is not reliable and it's not accurate. It's not all the way out there. And so using things like zkTLS and all kinds of things like try and pull the data is also a whole thing. So it's the combination of all these things together. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the end user, right, can just sit there and go into a UX that they're all familiar with, right, which is a simple swap interface and swap into not just crypto things, but anything in the real world, right? So there's a whole set of products behind there, whether you're talking about a tokenization engine, an Oracle engine, right, a distribution platform that sort of abstracts away, right, the permissioned aspect, all those types of things, right? That's an entire set of products you have to build to sort of make this experience very simple and to bring the user to a very simple thing that they're all familiar with, right? And from a distribution perspective, I think, again, when we talk about like solving real problems, look, again, the reason why the stablecoin is such a big part of the world today, right, and RWA is such a big part of the world is because holding the US dollar, right, and US dollar denominated assets is a huge part of the story, right? When you're in other places across the world in emerging markets where you potentially have an unstable currency, right, and your native currency is devaluing, right, at the rate of 100 to 200% a year, so you're just losing money, right, aggressively by holding your own currency. Holding the stablecoin, right, is a godsend, right? It's the best product on the planet because now you're no longer just losing money, you're holding money at least. And now being able to access these different things, right? These other yield bearing apps, whether it's very safe with stable stuff like T-bill, right? Or being able to loop against this or private credit or something more esoteric, right? Oil fields and solar farms where you can earn 20, 30% on these assets, right? If you're earning 20, 30% APY on US dollar denominated assets when you are in a country with a falling currency, it's like having a second job, right? Or a third job, right? It's really and a very, very important part of what we're doing here, right? And what we're doing in all of crypto. And so I think that is the sort of thing that really matters, is making it incredibly easy. We've already seen by putting things in a crypto native context in a use case, anybody can access it and important. And so doing this for everything in the world, right, is a huge part of how do we grow crypto.
Thank you. Any of our other speakers wants to add anything on the innovation and technology upcoming and just generally behind their projects?
I can chime in, Karen. So the real technical innovation at zetachain is that you can write your app in Solidity, just like building on Ethereum. But when you build on Zetachain's universal EVM, you get access to any connected chain. So native Bitcoin, Sui, Ton, EVM chains like BNB. So one of our protocol engineers helped build Thorchain. You might be familiar. This is like an app-specific DEX for cross-chain trading. And so Zetachain is very similar, but general purpose. So you can build any sort of cross-chain use case like lending or Bitcoin-backed stable coins, yield aggregation, and all of your logic lives on Zetachain. So that's how we uniquely support something like Bitcoin, because you can't deploy a smart contract right on Bitcoin. So upcoming stuff, we're bringing Sui and Ton to mainnet. So Zeta is like an EVM layer to have access to those chains. You don't have to know the special requirements or move language, and we're helping unify liquidity and user bases.
Thank you so much. Any of our other speakers want to add?
Yeah,
Yep.
I would like
Hi.
to chime in from the Walrus network.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, to us, one of the key challenge we wanted to tackle from the beginning was not just how to allow decentralized storage and retrieval of data. That is one thing, but how to also enable programmability around the economics and the life cycle and you know the logic, if you want, of these operations, right? So a lot of people basically, for example, want to buy storage, ahead of time. Some people want to manage their costs as they go. Some people want to actually publish resources with a tip jar that allows you to, to tip as you go to maintain the resources up. Some folks want to build websites with name services or, accessing stable coins in order to pay or whatever, right? So to us, it was a fundamental requirement that these aspects of the system should be programmable so that people can really build applications that handle storage. And this is actually the reason why we chose to build all this on the Sui network, to really not just give developers access to programming to storage resources as a programming construct, but to then put very next to that all the other resources, the name systems, the stables, the exchanges, and everything else you need in order to really build rich applications that are decentralized fully. So that was a key innovation. And really, we believe that this is necessary for Web3 applications to reach a mass audience. We think that if we want to compete by building, let's say, social networks or AI applications on Web3, we will need to have these kind of very meaningful interactions between different components that you can program together to build large apps, as you do when you access a mature cloud infrastructure.
Thank you for the answer. Shall we move on to the next question, or there is something any of you want to add to this question?
I can also quickly answer.
Sure, go ahead, Lucas.
Thanks. I know we're tight on time, but in terms of innovation, I just wanted to also share one thing that excites me coming out of the Safe ecosystem, which is Safe being available on like 20 plus networks. But the thing is that these networks are still very much silos, and people have perceived them as such. And what we want to achieve, and what we name SafeNet and have announced in November, is actually something that should be quite interesting, as you should have assets available on any network all at once at the same time, without having to bridge them across networks all the time. And I think that's going to be a major unlock for UX in the industry, where actually interacting with Web3 feels like interacting with one thing, not with 20 things. And it also goes way beyond just connecting just different blockchains and L2s and so on. Like what we eventually want to achieve is connecting the Web3 infrastructure with the real world. There, just shout out to a very cool project from the ecosystem, which is Gnosis Pay, which is already leveraging this idea, this concept, in order to connect your assets that you have on-chain in self-custody with a Visa credit card. So you can actually spend your on-chain assets at any point, anywhere where Visa is accepted, without having to lose self-custody. So they're in full control until the point where you actually buy something in the store. And I think that's something we should achieve as an industry, not just trying to move people to on-chain, but actually connect on-chain with the real world and have the real-world economy eventually be fully run on-chain.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. We just have time for one more question, but I know that before we do that, I promised one more red packet. So let me do that now quickly. And I really appreciate everyone staying with us for so long, both our guests and our listeners. Thank you a lot from Binance, Binance Square. So now I'm going to read out another red packet code where you can claim up to 500 USDC. As previously, the number of prizes is limited. I will make sure that I will write it down correctly this time, and I apologize for the spelling error previously. So here's how you can claim the red packet. You will need to log into Binance, tap the pay icon, go to red packet, go to receive, enter the red packet code, tap claim now, and tap open to claim the red packet. And the red packet 4 is this. Vote now 1-2. The red packet is vote now 1-2. So it's a red packet and also a call to action. And with that said, let's move on to the last question of today. Let's see who has applied to speak and who has sent the questions. There are quite a lot of them. So let me see who can answer them. Please, if you're asking a question, also make sure that you're actually applying to speak, because I'm seeing quite a lot of questions, but no applications. So that is a bit of a pickle to be in. So let's go ahead with right. Let's go ahead with Twin Tulips.
Yeah. Do you hear me, Karen?
Yes, we can. Please ask your question.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me once again another opportunity to speak. So my question is, what's new opportunity will open up for all the nominees about their project after being listed on the Binance?
Can you specify the question, as in, like, what are the opportunities for
our community, Binance community?
That the projects are going to be
Yeah, exactly.
providing after.
Yeah, exactly. If they listed on Binance.
So the question is, what comes after, or do you believe in, love after being listed on Binance? So again, I think we're getting to the question of, like, the future plans and what are you planning to do after the listing? And I suppose, how are you planning as well, if we're talking about tokens, to maintain the kind of the token and the community?
Okay, I can start again. Also, because I have a meeting that I will be late to, but I definitely want to answer. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm mainly joking. So I think there's a couple aspects when it comes to, as Karen put it, the eternal love between the Binance community and Story. I think making it easier for everyone to participate in the ecosystem and be able to easily get IP and play around with the ecosystem is definitely an important aspect, right? We are in a space where there's always going to be friction in acquiring tokens. If someone is somewhere, like for example, they love to stay within the Binance ecosystem and the token is not there, then it's obviously going to be easier for them to help govern Story, help use the IP token to check out the ecosystem apps and to register IP if that token is available on Binance. So that's obviously again a pretty obvious reason, but I think it's not one to underestimate. And the second thing is, much like Story is making IP, accessible to anyone, having as many places as possible to on ramp on Web3. But Binance is the largest exchange in the world, so it really is a lot of the default ways in which people go to on ramp into crypto, and we have ecosystem apps and we have infra to make it seamless to on ramp, but some people want to have full control of that on ramp experience, and being on as many top exchanges is always going to be a very important factor for that. So and I'm very much looking forward to all of the IP that the Binance community has, to see it on Story, to see it on the IP portal, and to check out all of the IP fine mechanics that we have available through our apps like Vario, for example, that allows liquid staking, but also IP restaking. So how do you pledge against IP to attest to its validity? Again, those are some things, but I'll leave it for the Binance community to explore once they can access IP on Binance, right?
Thank
Vote.
Maybe I'll go second, since I also have a hard stop in a minute ago.
Sure. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, I mean, look, the answer is quite straightforward for Walrus as a protocol, right? In order to store data, you need basically, well, in order to actually participate in the governance of determining who are the storage nodes that should be trusted by the community, you need WAL. And so when people ask me, okay, how do I go about using the decentralized store you have built? My first answer is, go basically get some token and start storing and start using the network. So to us, basically, this has an intrinsic kind of function within the ecosystem, and of course, having the Binance community on board is a key factor.
Thank you, both of you. All right, any of our other speakers? All right, I see Chris.
Yeah, maybe last thing. Look, listing is one thing. On a path to something much larger. At the end of the day, this is helping us with distributions, with the community. It's allowing others to access and be a part of the story and help continue to build a decentralized world, right, where we can access all these things together. And so that to us is kind of how we think about it. I think more tangibly, right, what are we going to do after? What do we continue to do no matter what, right, is continue to work with the community to allow them to access these, products and access real yields all over the place, right? It's integrating, Plume more natively and directly into all different places. For example, we already work with Binance Web3 Wallet, right? But being able to simply click a button, right? Take idle stables, allocate them into real things, earn yield in a very safe, stable way against those things, loop against them all in a click of the button, and then go rotate to whatever you want after, right? So simple things like that, right? And allowing, the Binance community, no matter where you are, right? And across all the different Binance products, right? To be able to access these products in very, very simple, native, and intuitive ways where you don't have to think about a new chain or think about anything else, right? It's all kind of baked into the experience. You get the value, right, and benefits of doing this, right, from wherever you are already, right? And then from there, of course, we continue to add new products and new experiences, right? All that, directly to the community. So, I think a ton to do there, that's what we're excited to keep doing.
Thanks, Chris. Yep, Jonathan.
Yeah, if I may, thank you. So we've been building with BNB Chain for almost 4 years now. 2.5% of all BNB testnet transactions are actually from Zeta. And today on mainnet with like 25 BNB Chain compatible apps. So we're going to keep building, and the utility for Binance users is access to native Bitcoin and these other chain ecosystems. So your vote will help accelerate what we're already doing with the chain. And then the question about opportunities for Binance users, we're doubling down on learn to earn campaigns live on exchanges like Coinbase and Upbit, and we hope to bring these kinds of opportunities to the Binance community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I think, Lucas, you're the last one left. Is there anything you want to add to the question before we wrap up?
Sure, I'll keep it short. We've never been chasing listings and been squarely focused on building value. And we see listings more as a retroactive validation of what we're doing resonating. And so for me, what will change with a Binance listing is primarily that we see the Binance community being excited about what we're doing, and obviously then kind of seeing potential in Safe and being excited about the future of it.
Thank you so much. It's been a long AMA, so I really, really appreciate everyone for who stayed with us till the end, and especially a huge thank you to all of our speakers from all of the 11 projects who've joined us today. You are wonderful, and it was a great honor and pleasure to have you here with us. Just a quick reminder before I wrap up. The voting is live until April 9th, so make sure you cast your vote. You must hold at least 0.01 BNB in your master account and be a verified user to vote, and you can vote for up to 5 projects, and head to the official Binance Square vote to list post to cast your vote. Just click onto the profile where I'm joining from. And on that note, that's a wrap. This is the end of our session. Thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts for joining today. And if you have any questions, make sure to follow all of the projects on Binance Square, and of course, follow Binance Square official account for all of the latest updates. Thank you, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.